We are speaking with the one and only Jem Davis of the Mighty FM, one of my favorite bands, along with Thunder. Bonjour, as we say, Jem. How are you?
I'm very good, mate. How are you?
Good, good. We are here to talk about Pepper Kid 2, the solo album that you're about to release, which I purchased because you should
Yeah,
support your
thank you for
artists.
that. Thank you. Yeah.
You're
So,
very welcome. So let's get talking about that. But then, well, you know what? You know what? Here, let the folks wait a second. I have to ask you about Lights Out in Tokyo with UFO,
right. Yeah.
just because I might be one of the strange people that it's one of my favorite UFO albums because just the way Lawrence Archer approaches those songs, there's just something about that night. It just sounds different, and it just sounds like another UFO, and I love it. I in fact have it
Right.
in my phone and listened to it like 2 days ago.
Right.
Um,
Oh, brilliant.
yeah,
I mean, UFO was one of my favourite bands,
yeah.
and so to be actually get offered the gig, I met Phil before because I was in a band called Tobruk. We were signed with the EMI, and
Yep.
we supported UFO a few times. So I knew Phil, and that. So when that opportunity came up, I thought, brilliant. But Lawrence, I mean, he was a massive Schenker fan, and he just, and we loved the band. We both actually wanted, so we wanted to make it work and move away. I mean, obviously, I knew the Atomic Tommy and the Misdemeanor album and all that, and we wanted to get it back to as it was. That. I mean, for me, my two favorite live albums is, obviously, Strangers in the Night and The Thin Lizzy, Live and Dangerous,
Yep.
and but I mean, it was an absolute joy. It was a manic because Phil and Pete were, it was a comedy duo, absolutely. They were
Yeah.
crazy, and you never knew what you were going to get on the night. And the joy of it also was the fact that you start a song like Rock Bottom, you didn't know where it was going to end up because Phil would conduct it and bring you down. And now I love that, it's just like, so it's different every night. So, yeah, we had a blast.
Yeah, it's funny because I spoke to Rob DeLuca, who's the current bass player in UFO, and he says basically in Rock Bottom we've got what we call like signposts on a road, and we know when we hit that note that okay, now we can get back to and
Yeah, 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 yeah.
it's just interesting because
Yeah.
every solo in there during the Rock Bottom performances are fantastic. Anyway, I wanted to get the Lights Out stuff because
Right.
I
I
just
mean,
can't.
that ended. I'm just going to say because that ended so classically because we did that album and that was great, and then we all flew to Russia, and everybody was miming. There's loads of people like Asia and all sorts of bands on this bill, but
Right.
we all had to mime for TV. And that was the classic one where Phil was completely hammered, fell off the front of the stage, and we did two numbers with his voice coming out, and there was no sign of him, and he had his foot in plaster. I've seen him obviously since that, but it was just so rock and roll. And I had visions of him. We were all in a taxi, and he had his foot literally out the window in plaster. But oh man, it was fantastic. We had such a good laugh. I
Do you,
really enjoyed that.
Oh my God! All right, so we'll get back to more of those stories in a second, but let's
Right.
let's get over to Pepper Kid because I admit I bought the album, but sight unseen or sounds unheard,
Yeah,
I have
very.
no idea what I'm getting.
No.
So what am I getting? And what and if
What are you getting?
what am I getting? And if other
So,
fans join me in buying this album,
yeah,
what are they
I
getting?
think so. I moved to this studio
Hmm.
in the lockdown, and the best thing FM and I watched a brilliant interview with Geddy because I'm a massive Rush fan, you see, and all that,
Oh
and
well, you'll be happy to know that I just emailed Terry Brown about two
oh,
hours
did you?
ago. I
Right.
did.
So Rush's ethic is the same as FM's in the fact that we all write. So all that bullshit about who wrote what song we throw out the window. Everybody's in it. So we just focus on the songs. So I had about a dozen songs for the next FM album, but I was right, and I just thought I'm just going to go with the flow here. And I was writing other stuff, and I thought I really need to. I want to release this. But I like all sorts of stuff. I'm again with yourself, and I don't know why people hate them, but I love Nickelback. I love the heavy side of things. As a keyboard player,
See right
it's
here?
weird because I'm hey,
Nickelback. You can't see it
okay,
there. Nickel. I got a whole section of Nickelback and
yeah.
and London
Because
Choir
it's
Boys.
Oh, voice, yeah. But my record collection is also. I mean, obviously, I love Floyd and there's
Yep.
the ending track. There's the last track on the album is called Breath of Life. It's all about what we all went through in 2020, but it's very Floydy, and I make no excuses about that. I just wanted that to go for that. But then I've got the first opening song, Pepperland. I got Jim to sing it. I wanted it to be like Small Faces, like Lazy Sunday. Lazy Sunday, Cockney guy. I did try to get Stiff to sing it. It's just, and I thought,
Danny Bowes and Thunder do a great version of that song.
Right, yeah. Well, I've known those boys since way back with Terrorplane, you see. With Tobruk and Terrorplane, we went out together. So
I keep trying to. Every time I interview Danny, I say, you got to resurrect the song I Survive. And he goes, no, we're not doing Terrorplane. But it's such a great song, I Survive. You should cover it on the next album, just to annoy him.
So what are you going to get? I mean, obviously I didn't want. I've got Stiff singing a song on it, but there's stuff on there that it just didn't fit in the FM like mold, if you like. And so I've got a ballad on there, and I wanted it to be sort of eagerlings and all that, and that's what Stiff's singing. He does a blinding job. It's fantastic. That's called Fool's Lullaby. But another singer I worked with in a band called Grand Slam with Lawrence, Mike, I've known for 30 odd years, more than that. And so he's the main voice of the album because I needed to have some continuity. So it opens up with Jim singing this song, and the rest, most of it is all Mike, and then that Fool's Lullaby with Stiff. But on the whole, it's Mike singing. That's the flow, and it's all me. It's all coming from my my mad head. But I guarantee there'll be, there's always going to. With albums like that, I was thinking like with Extreme, if you buy Pornography, you've got When I First Kissed You, which is like Frank Sinatra, going to something really heavy and then More Than Words. And I thought, well, there's the precedent. It's been done before, So it does all flow. And the first single is going to be called After the Rain, and that's featuring Lawrence on it. It's a heavy song. And I just wanted it to, that's that kind of a vibe. But then I've got other stuff. I love bands like Jellyfish and the Beatle element and all that malarkey. So that's in there as well, you see. So yeah, it's interesting. It is interesting, But
so wait a second here. Yeah, I just noticed Lawrence Archer is playing on this. Then
yeah. I got a lot to play to.
Damn.
Yeah. So that's the first thing.
It just got 10 times better. This is great. No offense to everybody else, but I mean,
so that's
because he was in UFO replacing Michael Schenker, people don't give him his due. No. But he rips.
Well, you see, Grand Slam that's what he formed with Phil back in the day. So I've been playing with the boys and going out doing that when I wasn't FMing, and then originally it was Mark Stanway. Well, Mark's been doing other things and couldn't commit. So and of course, with knowing Lawrence and knowing Mike, it came in. And in fact, the boys, Grand Slam, are going to be supporting us on a couple of dates. I'm saying that in France in a couple of months, but whether that happens in the
Maybe.
way, yeah, exactly. This is the problem because we've got tours lined up. We've got a very busy 2022, and all you can do is just put them on the book and then just see how it's going to go.
I mean, every concert announcement now is, Metallica playing Montreal, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You're like,
yeah. So, it was funny because I had the one before that. So I've got a song called "Fire Me Up," and again, it's a Hammond-driven song because my influences are like, well, it's funny. My sister used to listen to a load of soul and Elton John and all that when I was growing up. So I was into David Cassidy, and so I was listening to all that, and then somebody played me Xanadu by Rush and the Moog on that, and that was it. I was sold. All right, okay, we need to explore this. And from Rush, I went with Genesis, and the proggy side of things. But of course, then my heart's with John Lord and that Hammond sound. And so I like the heavier side of things. When I play with a band, I have Jim bollocking out he comes over thinking, he's loud on my side than it is his, because I want to feel it, I'm old school and I can't be bothered with in-ears. No, I just want to feel it, Right, yeah. So there's a heavy song. And initially I asked Lawrence to do the solo on that. And then I thought, no, hang on, this is my album, fuck you. But sorry, I shouldn't swear, man.
You can swear, it's fine.
All right. So then I went off and I went, did a Wakeman thing on a vibe on it and that just seemed to work, you know. And then, but for After the Rain, it's a very heavy song. It's like a real, almost like John Bonham kind of drum sound I put on it. So and Lawrence has done a blinding job. He just, you know, and I had to fire it over to Spain where he's living at the moment. He came back in a couple of days and thought, yes, awesome. So I'm looking forward to that. With that's come, you know, over here, it's kind of destined to go out in October, and then the album officially on the 12th of November. You know, so but I'll be putting out the pre-sales way in advance. You know.
Okay, so the album I bought, I'll be getting for Christmas.
Yeah. Hey. No. I'll get that to you. I'll get that as soon as they come in, Mitch. Don't really worry. I'll fire it over.
No, that's fine. So okay, so if you're an FM fan or just a hard rock fan in general, I mean, this album's for you. I mean, it's not some kind of esoteric, you know, new age.
Do you know what? Because as a keyboard player, again, I love Rick Wright in Floyd, and then I bought his solo stuff, and I thought it just didn't go anywhere, you know. And it's like, well, these are songs on this album. It's a real songwriting thing, and I've done like a 20-page booklet. I wanted it to be so all the lyrics you can read that they all mean something. So something that it's not just like a little twee tunes, if you like, you know. Everything means something, and it's all in its place, you know. And I just explore different genres that I like, you know, and push Mike a bit because he's a rock singer, but slightly, you know, but it's not wimpy in any way, shape, or form, you know. But it was just like I say, it's not because it was an FM kind of tunes. I thought, okay, well, no, but it needs a vehicle, and so Pepper Kid 2, I just need to clarify Pepper Kid 2, right? So the reason it's Pepper Kid is because ever since I was a kid, I've covered my food in pepper, right? It became an issue to the point where the boys in the band go, wait a minute, Jem's getting, and I would literally say you can't see the plate, you know. So that's where that comes. It's got nothing to do with the Beatles, Pepperland, or anything like that. It was just that's what I did. And everyone says to me, well, why the 2? And I think it's just my lucky number. There was never a Pepper Kid 1 and he died, you know. We're not talking David Bowie here, you know. So that's where that all came about. And I just thought, yeah, it's a project. I've got no intention at this moment in time of getting a band around it or anything like that. Right. I just want to, as a vehicle, and I want to do more stuff, you know, because I'm also working with Jimbo on his bluesy stuff as well, you see.
Yeah, he's a great blues player. So
yeah.
Let me just remind the folks, pepperkid2.com. Pepperkid2.com is where you can get this. In terms of, so you don't want to make it a band necessarily, but there certainly could be other chances. Now, when you're making this music and you don't have Steve Overland, the voice singing on it, how do you, I mean, you got the best. So were you more critical of Mike? Did you
no,
hey?
Well, I did push him a bit. Good. I mean, because Steve's a machine, man. He just like, it's instant, and then harmony and bang and bash, and he does it.
Steve Overland, Danny Bowes, 2 of the greatest singers ever. You cannot change my mind.
Totally. You know, I mean, we've just been working the last 2 days in here. We're finishing off the next FM album, you know. And Steve is great. He's just like, you know, because he did a vocal on, I've written a ballad on this album and all that, and he had already done a whole complete vocal. He said, "Nah, I want to do that again." And within an hour, it's all down there again with all the harmonies and bang. He knows exactly where he's going. It's a joy. But the thing with Steve is he sounds like Steve. So I wanted to you know, I didn't want it to be another FM sound, if you like, you know. So that's why I went mainly with Mike, because I wanted to move away from that. So there's plenty of stuff Steve's on outside of FM, which is great, you know. That was the only reason, really, you know. But no, see, the thing is, they're good. It's a joy to work with Jim and Steve anyway. You know, we always have a laugh, but we get things done, you know. So that's the best way to do it.
Jim's great, and I'm keeping an eye on this dog who's about to start barking. Let me just ask you quickly about the last couple of FM albums, Synchronized and Atomic Generation. To me, 2 of the best albums the band has ever made.
Oh, okay.
and of course, the reworked version of Indiscreet 30 is phenomenal. And
that was a risk. That was a risk. We were kind of pushed by management, Steve, because we looked after by Steve Strange, who looks after Coldplay and all that. and he was saying he was a big fan. You see, and it's always a risk that because it's such a cherished album, the first album, as it was in my book for um, and so to revisit that so we don't know how the fans are going to react to that, and thank God we got it right.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, and I'll tell you this too. I, being in Canada, I wasn't a fan of FM at that time, just because you didn't exist on our radio or on our TV. It wasn't that I didn't like you; it's just that you weren't part of the picture.
right.
So I don't have that memory of I'm 15 years old and Indiscreet is the greatest thing I've ever heard in my life. I found it later, 20 years later. So when I heard the redone version, I just thought, wow, this is a great album, really polished up with a lot more muscle to it and a great band. I mean, Jim, with his sort of bluesy guitar approach, takes those songs somewhere else. Even though they're almost carbon copies, there's a very distinct difference. And I was like, you win.
And the other thing was that with Steve's voice as well, it's just, I guess, more mature. I mean, obviously it's a few years down the line, but he's singing it just as well, even better, because he's been singing those songs for 30 odd years. There's a few little licks in there that give it a little bit more character or whatever, because you've lived with us. Once you live with a song for that period of time, you just change it slightly, but you had to be careful, not too much, Thank God we got it. We did get it right, and it's been definitely well received.
With the work on the next FM album underway, where do we go in terms of sound, or what are we looking for? Do we just make a synthesizer or another Atomic Generation?
No, it's definitely going to be a lot more. It's not as light. I don't want to say heavier, but it's. We always try to. We just want to move. We just write what we like, and the whole point with it is the chemistry of the five guys together, and that's what makes the sound of FM. And I mean, we're loving this one. We think this is as you do with any album. You think that's it. Now this is the one that's going to be it, and you just evolve. And we wanted to get. You've got to beat the last one. You've got to be better, and we don't release anything. It goes through such a strict process that every song before it gets to anybody, we're super critical on everything that we do. So that when it comes out, we're happy with what we're putting out, and it is sonically we just want to make sure that this is right and in the same sort of mindset as everything we've done in the past, So sorry,
I was going to say, how involved is Frontiers? Because when you're sort of a rookie band, Frontiers gives you your marching orders and says, this is what you're going to do, here's who's going to play on it, and off you go. Does FM have a certain amount of freedom?
Basically, we're FM, so it's like basically we do it. And I mean, but the Frontiers guys, Sterofino and all that, absolutely adore Steve, and he could sing the phone, but they'd be fine with that, And they trust us to they don't see, we've been doing it long enough now. They know that we won't give them anything half-assed or anything like that. So that does not even come into it, Okay. And they, it's a guaranteed. But did they just? Yeah, I've never known them to ever get any backs whatsoever, which is nice. Yeah,
because I was talking to the Revolution Saints guys, Jack Blades and Dean Castronova, and they're like, well, they had the guys write songs for us, and I was just like, wait, Jack Blades, who wrote Still Rockin' in America, you're going to write songs for him?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, sure.
Yeah. that ain't going to happen here, No, it doesn't work that way with us at all. You couldn't really, I mean, it's just to sing outside of FM, and that's the process and that. But with FM, it's like I say, we're all five writers and all that, and that's the sound. You don't really want anybody else. There's no room for anybody else to come into it because we've got so much wealth of material anyway, And if, like I say, if we start on a project and we think, no, this ain't working, boys, then out and into the next one,
Well, I mean, they did on Tough It Out bring in Desmond Child, which you can never go wrong with Desmond.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Another thing that's currently in my phone is Tough It Out Live that came out earlier this year. An album that originally you didn't play on, but you had a chance, of course, to do these album shows. Talk to me a little bit about that album and putting it out live, because, again, I think you've made it better. No offense.
It's funny because I'm great. Didge has been, we've got him back up on stage, it's great to talk to him and all that. And for me, I wanted to want to hit the old sounds, if you like, but then try and bring in new sounds to make it more now, And it's a fine balance between the two. Again, you've got to make sure that the fans are happy and whatever. But that was great fun to do, and we went out at the end of the year with Dan Reed and the Gun Boys, and it just went down a storm, But it was there's a lot of songs. It's a bit strange that because to play, it's not how you would play a live set,
Right.
How you structure
the ebb and flow is all wrong.
Yeah. And I think Dan the Man actually threw it out the window. He was meant to be doing all the slam, but from start to finish, and he said, "No, I'm going to do this." But we didn't. We were true to what we did. So basically, if you bought the album, you expect to hear the next song, and that's how we did it. But again,
that was the right way to do it, though.
Yeah. And but a lot of Tough It Out's been in the set a long time. So,
right.
but Bad Luck and all those tunes, Burning My Heart Down and all that. So there was about 4 songs that we've not played ever, And they were, but again, it's because it's all fresh, especially fresh to me because I've never actually played them and all that, and Jim as well, So that was good fun, But yeah, and we're really pleased how that got received, again, So
it's phenomenal. I love it. But I'm a sold fan now that I've discovered FM a few years back. Talk to me about how important Jim Kirkpatrick is, because he does come from the blues. He's been compared to the Joe Bonamassas of the. He's not your typical straight ahead rock guy. He's got that soul and blues, and I think he makes FM better than what was there in the past. My opinion.
Yeah. But what I love about Jim is
secret sauce.
He's a very he's a fan. He was a fan before he joined the band. He's a baby of the band, and so he wanted it to. He's honoured every lick, and he goes through with Stiff and makes sure that they're playing exactly what Chris has put down there, because he knows what sort of fans want to do. And then when he gets the opportunity, whatever, he'll do his little bit. And there's Jim, and I think that's great. I think that's he's got the balance right between honouring the original and making it a little bit more himself, without pissing anybody off. And that's a tough gig, Andy was brilliant. He would just go and do it, and you didn't know what you were going to get with that, But Jim, it's and I've been playing with Jim on his blues stuff and all that, and we've had a couple of gigs hopefully this weekend, and it's great fun to do, And it's nice to go and do something a bit different,
Well, the great thing about Andy is that I knew of him way before I knew of FM, because he was on all the Corey Hart stuff.
Yeah.
So when you're sitting here watching Sunglasses at Night, you go, "Oh, he joined FM after."
And that was the soundtrack, because Tobruk, after we did our first album with Lance Quinn, who did the Bon Jovi 7800 with Obie O'Brien, And we did that in Philadelphia, and of course in '84, what a year '84 was for music, and Missing You and Sunglasses and I just remember that that was so 3 months in Philadelphia, and that was the soundtrack for me, So, and it was weird to meet Andy after hearing that on the radio for so long,
Yeah.
But I'd known Merv a long, because Tobruk supported Diamond Head, so I've known Merv a long time. And so how I got into FM was that FM was supporting UFO in Paris. And so me and Merv met up again. And at that point in time, he was using Romeo's keyboard player, and Slim was just standing in, if you like. Right. And I knew what the situation was with the UFO boys. That I knew that Phil had already talking about getting Schenker back in and like that. And I was fine with that, because it's a bit weird because I'm doing myself out of a job. But I thought, no, let's get Paul Raymond and Schenker back together. That's great. So I knew that was on the cards. So I said to Merv, listen, mate, yeah, absolutely. I'll come down to some rehearsals. This is what's happening, And then so that was the end of '92, and I've been with them ever since,
Walk on Water is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. By the way, did you play on High Stakes and Dangerous Men? Because
I never did. No, I'm not actually.
Okay.
That was after they basically needed a keyboard player to go and do the tour, you know.
Yeah,
So
okay, because I looked at some sites and they say, yes, he's on it. And then I look at others and they go, no, he's not. And I'm like, well,
no, I didn't. I don't know who they got in on the keys on that, but
okay.
yeah, no, I came in after that. It was just they had a UK tour. It started off with that, and then it just I stayed with them for well, it was a year and a bit, I think, you know. So
Just real quick before we wrap up, FM did take a significant break for a decade. How important was that for you, or disappointing for you, or no, we needed a breather?
we needed
What
a
was,
breather, I think, for sure. I think grunge was happening and all that malarkey, and um, you know, it really was just a case of we just took a step back, and
yeah.
it did the band the world of good. You know, it was the right thing to do. You know, because you miss it. I mean, see, FM is that we have that laugh. What you see on stage when you come and watch us, we're having the best time, and that is not fake. We just do, you know, and all the bullshit of egos is out the window. So I missed all of that. I love playing live, you know. I just like the, you know, thing. So the last 16 months has just been hellish, you know. So we've done one gig this year, and it just everyone got back, and it's amazing how it suddenly goes. Oh yeah, I remember this goes, you know. So yeah. So I'm really looking for. We need to come over there, chap. You know, because
Well, listen, I keep saying that if I win the lottery, there will be a private gig in Montreal featuring FM, Thunder, Honeymoon Suite, and
yeah,
Gothard.
yeah.
That's my ultimate extravaganza of rock. And I'll finish on this one, and then we'll replug Pepper Kid. But when you did get back together, was the intent just let's do a couple of shows and that's it, and let's put a proper period at the end of the sentence, or did you say,
Yeah, it was, see, what got us back together again was the Firefest
right?
festival in 2007.
So was it for shits and giggles, or was it like, let's give it a go?
Yeah, well, then when we did it, when we had the first rehearsal, we thought this is great, you know. We didn't really want it to stop. So, and then the reaction that we got, and it was funny because I got married. I married in Vegas, like you do, and my missus had never experienced that. And we're down the Hard Rock in Nottingham, and there's people from Brazil coming over asking for my autograph, and she's saying, well, he's the guy that sits there watching the telly, and she couldn't comprehend that. And I said, this is what I actually do, love. So that was, and it just escalated from there. The love and the reaction from the crowd, and that. So no, let's get out there and let's carry it on. I think we've done enough because we had that breather. There was a new, fresh, right, we're off, and then getting Jim in and all that. It's just again, that fresh feeling sort of thing, and and we haven't stopped, and the best thing is like doing these big festivals like the last gig we got supporting Kiss, and these massive festivals and some of the festivals that we do are very heavy, and you think it's the old chicken wire. You think,
yeah, I know.
Fucking bottled up, and because Steve is such a great vocals and all that, and I think after like Cradle of Filth and all that really heavy stuff, it's like we're like a little breather. And the reaction that we get from the Europeans and all that, they love it, and that's a joy, So
and I gotta say, by the way, that's what I love about the European festivals like Hellfest or Wacken, is that you'll get Cradle of Filth, and Demo Borgir, and then you'll get Foreigner and FM, and you go, what now?
Yeah, I know. You think this is never going to work, but
and it does.
Yeah, they just like good music. If they like people that can play, and okay, you're a heavy band, great, and okay, and that's how they do it. And if you're crap, they'll let you know, So
yeah.
But
you see, I've consulted on festivals in Canada, and they'll say, we're going to get this band and that band, and we're going to get Black Label Society, and then I'll say, you know what, FM is great, or I'll say Foreigner, great rock songs, they can come out and do Urgent, and it's just heavy, and they go, no, it's not.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
well, the British are a little bit like that. It has to be this genre of music, and that's again. So I'd nicely get back to Pepper Kid, because I didn't want to be pigeonholed to a particular genre,
Right.
So there is possible to. I think everybody listens to different types of music, like I say, I love my Nickelback. I like Rush. I mean, it's all Canadian bands. Saga again, you know, another band I absolutely love with keyboard as a keyboard player, you know.
Great
And then,
band.
you know, I'll go from that to Frank Sinatra or whatever, you know. And I think a lot of people secretly do that, you know. Why you don't really want to be pinned down to, oh right, you just like that kind of music. Why if it's good, for me, it's got to have good melody, you know.
You and me both. If my ears like it, I'm in.
Yeah.
You know, listen, I was my mix this morning while I was walking went from In Excess over to Buck Cherry over to Black Star Riders over to Nickelback.
Right. Yeah,
it's fine to me.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Just real quick, Metropolis, which came out after, you know, you do the Firefest, Andy leaves, Jims comes in. What was that like going into Metropolis? Were you thinking, okay, we need to go back and make another Tough It Out, we need to make another Indiscreet, or you're just saying, hey, it's 2010. This is what we're going to be like in 2000. What was sort of the
that's exactly
frame of mind?
That's exactly it. We did not. We said we could. It's a wrong thing to do to try and emulate. Indiscreet is Indiscreet. Don't try and do another Indiscreet too. You know, and I can't remember. Like when to Brooke, when we signed to EMI, they said, "What we want you to be the next Def Leppard." I mean, thinking, well, why don't we be the next to Brooke? You know, why you don't want to? And that's the same with the band. So that's how we work with our albums. We don't want to. We're not going to repeat what we've just done. We're just going to write good stuff, and then that's how it's going to be. It's not like let's make a song that sounds a bit like that, and then we get away with it. That doesn't make sense to me or any of us. You know.
Though, if Mutt Lange called and said he's producing the next record, would you turn him down?
Well, no. I think, you know,
yeah, Mutt calls, you're like, okay, well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
you want to make Hysteria Part 2 with us? Okay. I'll take it.
But, yeah. But I mean, we're having such a. I mean, the thing is, we're having fun making this album right now, you know, and because of the situation and the lockdown, and it's been a bit logistical. We've got, you know, where I'm based is, you know, Mervs and Peter, the rhythm section are down near London, you know, and then Jim and Steve are up north, you know. But everyone comes against here, and we've just been working here in 2 days. But man, is it productive? It's great, you know, and it's not a chore. That's the thing. We're having a laugh. And I mean, Jim came back half pissed. Yeah, okay, you know, and that's the vibe. Just if it works, it works, you know.
Yeah. So, and as a tribute to Andy, you should cover Sunglasses at Night as the Japanese bonus track. Just for the fun.
I love that. I mean, I had to share a room with Andy my first day with the band and all that. And you know, that was an experience in itself. You know, he is what a character he was, and you know. So when we had the hiatus and all that in 10 years, me and Ant had our own like a blues thing going off and that. But oh mate, he's another level again. You know, love him to this. Yeah.
You know, when he joined FM, or he was like, I have a top 40 hit, so just
yeah.
Just listen to me. I know. I've been on top 40. Billboard. Yeah. I'm a Billboard guy. Pepperkid2.com. The actual album is Adventures in Pepperland, right?
Yeah.
There you go.
So it's like I say, it's
buy it. That's all we're gonna say. Just buy it.
Yeah,
I bought it.
Yeah.
And it's funny because a fan on Twitter reached out to me to my Twitter and said, "Have you heard about this?" And I went, "No." And I went to look at it, and then I saw Jim's face, and I saw Steve Overland's face, and I saw your face, and I said, I'm buying it.
Yeah.
I don't care what it sounds like.
Oh, bless you. I'll get a copy to you as soon as I can. But I mean, you know, it's
it's going to be great.
I'm excited about it, you know. It's and the thing is, we all, because everybody's helping each other. Like, you know, I do stuff for Steve and Jim, so it was just brilliant. I knew I could count on them to say, like, Jim really come, he's there like that, you know. And it's fun. It's fun.
And Steve is doing 4 albums this year. He's doing Groundbreaker, Lone Rider, FM, and what's the other one he's doing? Oh, that jazz sort of band that he does, Stax. Stax.
Yeah.
So you're allowed to do one.
He hasn't stopped. He's been in the studio every day with different bands and whatever. And so that's right, because you can imagine. I mean, same for me. I've been playing away. Pete, bless him, when we come to do this gig, he hasn't hit the tubs for, so it's hard. But Steve, because he's been singing every day, and you see your voice is a muscle. But that guy is incredible anyway. Because I've known Steve get in the van, the stinkiest of colds, can't freaking speak, gets on stage, perfect, and then he can't talk again, and because he sings properly, it comes from here, it's not all throat or anything like that, and because he's been working and all that and doing different projects, that's why when he came and did this ballad the other day, he knew exactly where he wanted to go with the harmonies, and it's so fast, it's just a workhorse,
He's a pro. He's a pro. So
yeah.
when we're done, set me up with a Lawrence Archer interview. I got to talk to the guy who's on that Tokyo. That Lights Out, and again, I love that album. It's just so good. It's just a different version of UFO, and the solos on Rock Bottom and stuff are just fascinating. Anyway, as we say in Montreal, merci, monsieur. Thank you so much. And of course, pepperkid2.com. Pick up the new album. I did, and therefore so should you.
Pressure. Cheers. Thanks.
Cheers. Merci. All right, let me stop the recording. Where's the button? Oh, there it is.